and welcome to the first of what I hope is going to be many Barnsley Biker video diaries. A series of videos that reflects my passion for all things motorcycling, which is riding, tinkering, fixing, modifying and meeting up with fellow bikers to visit various meeting points across the area. In the first of these videos I'm going to look at installing a new air filter to my Harley 1200 Sportster, which I bought just before Christmas. I bought the bike on the understanding it had got a stage 1 tune-up kit fitted. It has got a Vance & Hines 2-in-1 performance exhaust system fitted, and it has got a Vance & Hines fuel pack fitted, which has been set to stage 1 fueling. However, last ride I had out before Christmas, the bike showed up an overfueling fault on the front cylinder, which led me to the suspicion that perhaps it hadn't had the air filter modified to match the exhaust and the fuel pack. The bike still had the original Harley air filter cover on, and so over Christmas I took that off to have an investigate, and yes, lo and behold, it's still got the standard Harley air filter in there. So I treated myself to a Vance & Hines free flow air filter kit, hopefully to match up with the exhaust that's already on there, and I'm going to video myself installing that and seeing if it cues the fault. Thanks to Hog Parts, the kit turned up earlier this week, so with no further ado, let's get the box opened, have a look what's inside, and then get in the garage and get that fitted. Okay, let's have a look at what's in the box then, shall we? Or before we open the box, it's quite an impressive but simple piece of packaging, and it gives you a few messages from Vance & Hines which are worth looking at. More airflow, more power. But the bit I like, and what we're going to find out, easy, no hassle, bolt and go install. Let's see what's in the box, shall we? Okay. So, as I say, simple packaging. So there we've got the air filter. As you can see, very similar to a K&N unit. I'm going to open that in a minute and have a proper look at it. Okay, but we'll just put it to one side. A set of instructions. I've had a quick browse through these already. Fairly simple, fairly straightforward, but should be enough to do the job. Again, we'll find out later. Okay. Another little message there from Vance & Hines. Spin it down so you can have a look. Yeah. Inside, all the bits and pieces that we're going to need, hopefully, to install the air filter onto the bike once we've taken the old one off. Okay, again, put that to one side. Let's get rid of the box. Don't need that now. Okay, right, going to open those up, see what's inside. Okay, that's everything out of the box now. Have a quick look at what we get. As I mentioned before, it does look very much like a K&N style filter. May even be a K&N filter stamped with Vance & Hines. Who should know? But looks like it's been pre-oiled. We might just give it a little bit of extra once we get it into the garage to fit it. We'll see how it goes. Don't want too much on there, but we do want to make sure it is well oiled. Backing plate for the filter. Again, everything feels fairly substantial, very well made. More mounting hardware. The actual bracket that holds everything to the bike, onto the engine, that everything clamps up to. Very, very nicely machined aluminium venturi there. Yes, proper quality piece of kit that looks. Hopefully it'll all go together as well as it looks like it should, and we shouldn't have any problems installing when we get around to it. The gaskets, kit theoretically comes with everything that you're going to need. Last but not least, bag of nuts and bolts, all the mounting hardware in there, including engine breather pipes, so that once installed the engine can still breathe oil vapour back through the filter as the original factory design. So all there, all looking good, all looking well made. Next step, take this lot down to the garage, go and get it installed, see how it goes. Okay, so here we are now in the garage, workshop, whatever you want to call it. First job is to take the old parts off. So I've selected the tools as per the instruction, so hopefully I've got everything I need to take that off. So let's have a go. First off, get these out. Now, saving all the original parts just in case whether want to go back to standard or if we decide we're just going to sell everything. And we've got all the bits to move on. Okay, right, under here it tells me this should be a T27 Torx. So it's a tool I had to buy especially when I bought the Harley, because most Torx sets give you a T20, T25, T30, but not a T27. And believe me, you don't want to round one of these off. Okay, you can see the old air filter, despite the fact the bike allegedly has only done about 2,500 miles, the old air filter is quite dirty. Don't really think it's been serviced that well, but anyway, it's coming off. Don't think we reuse these, so these again, put them to one side. They're quite long ones. Okay. There we go. There. That's the air filter off. Don't think we're going to need that gasket. There's a new one in the kit, so we'll leave that attached for now. And then it's getting these off, which theoretically, okay. Not sure what size they are, so I think we're going to have to go and see what we've got in the toolbox. Okay, basically we were struggling there because there were two problems. One, there is a small O-ring down there that prevents the socket from seating fully, but two, it takes a larger socket than the fitting instructions say that you need. So it's a 9/16 from Best Guess, which seems to fit. These are snuggish. I think they've been treated to some thread lock, which is when we put this back together what the instructions suggest we use anyway. So let's have these out. These bolts are breather bolts, so they allow the cylinder head to breathe any oil vapour, etc. that may be building up inside the cylinder heads to breathe out into the air filter and obviously then recirculated through the engine. Okay, that's those off, and there we are. Other than that gasket there, let's have that off. Okay. That's just checking the alignment of that gasket, which way round it goes. But that's everything off. We're just going to give that gasket surface a quick clean up, and then we'll come back, put everything back together. Okay, thank you. Okay, first thing you have to do when installing the kit is put this filter mounting bracket on with a gasket behind. Now, it's one of those jobs with everything else you've got to mount in there, it's going to get a little bit tricky trying to keep the gasket in place. So what I've done, I've used a couple of the old mounting bolts just through there, just keep the gasket in place while I install these, which are the bolts that hold the mounting bracket to the engine. These are also breather bolts, okay, and it does say, as with everything, put a little bit of blob of the blue thread seal, thread lock on there, but there's also an O-ring. You've got to make sure that O-ring seats neatly inside that hole and doesn't get trapped when you tighten this up. Okay, I've started the other one off just to hold it in place while I show you what's going off. I'm going to just tighten this one up a little bit, just make sure that O-ring's going to go down evenly. Jiggle that around to make sure the O-ring goes in to the recess. I've not put the sealant on this one yet, so we're just going to bring this one out and put the thread lock on this. Okay, so there, doesn't need a lot, but a little bit of thread lock, especially on that. Make sure you don't put too much on and then block the breather hole up. But it's just, as we know, Harleys have a reputation for vibration. You don't want any of this hardware vibrating loose and either disappearing down that big hole there, or allowing too much air in and causing you, well, either serious engine problems or at very least some running problems. Okay, I've got a torque wrench here that I've already got set to the midpoint between the recommended torque settings that it gives in the kit. So it's set to 15 Newton meters, which is approximately bang in the middle of what the instructions say. So not a lot, 15 Newton meters. Let's just put that on there, and it's barely a flat turn there before it's, and that again was nearly there. So it's not much more than just a snug tightness. Okay, hopefully if I take these out now, the gasket's going to stay where it is, because this is where you really need three hands or an assistant, and I've got neither. So the next part of the assembly, we've got to get the throttle venturi, aluminium venturi on there, the plate that everything bolts up to on there, and obviously make sure everything else is lined up as well. So as I said, it's one of those where trying to get everything lined up and held in place is not the easiest thing, but hopefully if that gasket's not moved, we should be somewhere close, he says. Trying to line it up when you can't see what you're doing is a bit of a pain, but there, that's something like, I think. Let's just see if we can make sure that's getting the thread. Okay, and it's not. Okay, well, a bit more luck on that one. Let's just try again, get that lined up. As you can see, you're trying to line up three parts. I've already put a bit of thread lock on these, so we should be alright. There's a bit of spring in that which is not helping, so something is not 100%, but anyway, that's okay. loosen that one off because that top one's not wanting to catch. Okay. There's always one, especially when you're trying to do this to the camera. It looks like that's yeah. There's something just interfering with that one very slightly that's making it a little bit snugger than the other two, but we're there. We're there. Okay, again, you're bolting these up into aluminium throttle body, so you don't want to be over tightening these. You've got the thread lock on there anyway. You don't want to be damaging the threads on those throttle bodies. Okay, next we've got to somehow work out how these pipes work, and these pipes have to go through these two holes, so this is going to be fun somehow. Yeah. If anybody watching this video has got a tip on an easy way to get these on, because actually I don't think you could mount them before you put the plates on, simply because they've got to go through the mounting bracket as well as that backing plate. I think, just making sure nothing's blocked, and not that is on. Okay, bear with me while we get the other one on. Let's say a bit of just spit and polish, just a bit of liquid on there, a bit of water on there will help that rubber go through a little bit easier. Okay. Sorted it now, I think. There you go, that's the engine breathers. Breathing back through the inlet, so any oil mist is being recycled rather than dispersed out into the atmosphere. Is this? I think that's on. Let's just again make sure I've not got any kinks in that, because last thing you want is to be preventing the cylinder heads from breathing, and any build up of pressure, then you'd end up with it blowing oil out where you don't want it to come out, I guess. Okay, that's done. Finally, these three small screws, Allen heads, bolts, whatever you want to call them, they've already got some yellow on the threads. Not sure if that's thread lock or if it's something else. Just for belt and braces, again as we say, I'm going to put a little bit of thread lock on. Again, last thing you want is your air filter coming off as you're going down the road. So let's just a dab of that as well. Can't help. Okay. Right, and again, these are off centre, so it's working out which way. Now it tells you in the instructions that the Vance and Hines emblem has to be in this position over here, so it's sort of lining those holes up somewhere there. Let's see if we can Right, that's a bit big, let's put that one in there. Sometimes helps if you can just find something to locate the hole and hold everything in place while you get something there to hold it more permanently. I think it's the smaller of the two Allen keys that we were told to have ready, and it is. That edge a bit tight, so I'm not going to go any further with that just yet till we've maybe got something else to square it up so we know we're going in at the right angle. Which is not wanting to do anyway. So yeah. Okay, it looks like the bracket that these bolt through the filter onto has been powder coated and the threads needed some serious cleaning up. They were very tight. So I've run a tap down them, cleaned the threads up. It's just a case of now tightening these up. Again, there's no real torque setting, but you get a feel for it. And again, I've put some blue thread lock on there. You don't want your air filter falling off while you're riding, as we've said before. So that's those. Just get that one, these last few turns. Those tightened up. There we go. Now you can get covers for these filters, which basically make use of that hole there. If you're not going to put one of the covers on, which I probably will do later, but for now it's just a case of getting the bike back together so we can use it. So it comes with a dome-headed bolt to blank that hole off. Otherwise you've got air rushing straight through there. So again, just a little bit of the thread lock on that, just to make sure that doesn't go flying off down the road. Get that started. Oh. Yeah. There we go. And somewhere here we should have the Allen key for that. And there we have it. One filter fitted. Fairly straightforward, as it says on the side of the box. Easy assembly. A few tips, as I've said, just clean out those threads before you put it together. Do a soft assembly before you finally put it together, just to make sure everything fits, all the parts, all the threads and that are clean. So next step is to turn on the ignition and then check the fuel map. This bike should already be mapped for a stage 1, as in this exhaust and this filter, so I shouldn't have to alter anything. But by linking to the fuel pack using your phone or an iPad or mobile device, you can check what fuel settings have been programmed into the bike, and if the correct one's not there, you can download the appropriate one and synchronize it with the bike and set the bike up so that it runs with the modifications you've made. Fuel pack does give you some scope for tuning. I'm not really going to try and go into that. I'm going to use the set mappings for this setup if they're available. So that'll be the next stage. I'm going to tidy some of these tools away, get rid of the original parts so we don't lose those. Then we'll have a look at getting the mapping sorted. Okay, the bike, as we mentioned earlier, has already got the Vance & Hines fuel pack fitted. So now we just need to make sure that the program that's been put into that fuel pack is the correct one for this exhaust system and for the high flow filter. So using the app that you can download onto your phone or device, if you look at this already, it's connected to the bike, it's found the bike and connected. So if we touch that, and then we need to search for map, which is the top option. Okay, so it gives you a list of exhaust manufacturers, which is the first one. We know this one's a Vance & Hines. It then gives you a list of the exhausts available. We're looking for an upswept 2-in-1, which is the bottom option, standard engine. The bike, as far as we're aware, has got the standard baffle that comes with the exhaust in it. It's given me two options on fuel mapping there. One of them is the standard baffle, one of them is a Q insert, which I think is a quiet baffle insert, which we're going to possibly investigate in the future. But the top one, high flow filter, stock engine, standard baffle, so we need to just click on that, wait, see what happens. Now brings up a picture of the bike with the exhaust fitted. Mine's the black one, not the stainless one, and the filter fitted, and it asks if you want to install that map. So hopefully just by clicking on the bottom there, it gives me a warning, standard warning, click continue, and hopefully there you go, it's running the install, transferring map. Flashing new map to bike. All this modern technology, absolutely amazing. There we go. Now I've got to turn the bike off for 30 seconds, so turn it off. As you can see, it's now still running the install even though the bike's turned off. Tells me to keep the bike turned off, so let's see how we go. So, tells me to turn on, Bluetooth will reconnect. There's the noisy fuel pump. And again, it's waiting till it reconnects to continue with the programming. Now it's telling me I just programmed my bike with the FP3. That was easy. It was actually quite straightforward. Done. So the bike now should be all set up and programmed for the modifications that have been fitted to it. Hopefully next time we go out for a ride it should run a bit smoother and we shouldn't get any of those fault codes coming up. So obviously we'll be taking it for a test ride and we will be reporting back. Gonna need warming up a little bit, but it does sound quite sweet. We'll see how it goes. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one. Well, that's more or less it. That's the filter installed and the fuel pack mapping updated. Hopefully that will improve things discernibly, but as we stated earlier, we'll be going for a ride and we'll give you some feedback in future videos. Stay tuned, hopefully I'll be doing more of these videos in the future, so hope to speak to you all again. Ride safe, have fun. See you later.